Hi, welcome to Tyne Valley Motorhomes. I'm Callum and this is the handover of the Chausson C514 first line. So as we start the walk round on the driver's side of the vehicle first, if you open the driver's door, on the black sticker in the door, you'll see your tyre pressures and your tyre size for front and back in bar and PSI. And then you've got your LPG locker. So using the small habitation key, this will open all your habitation locks. So LPG, liquid petroleum gas, this is your gas locker. So opening the door, we've got our 6 kilogram propane test bottle on. So it will take 1.6, or if you're converting it to gas low, it'll take an 11 because the locker's quite big. Different sizes on the continent, obviously. To connect the pigtail, left hand thread, opposite threads with it being gas, and you just hand tighten this one. You don't need a spanner. And then just make sure there's 2 straps that you tie the bottle in and you turn it off before you start driving, so that you eliminate any gas leak or any problems with gas. And then using your little key, you can open and unlock your habitation door. You've got your fridge vents, your awning light and your full Omnister awning. Located behind the back driver's wheel is your waste water outlet. So this is anything that you've drained down the sink, shower or hand basin. Simply drive over the grid on the way out of your site, pull the handle out and it will drain out from the middle of the tank. In the winter, make sure this is completely drained, as you wouldn't want the water to freeze inside the wastewater tank. You've got your garage at the back of the vehicle, which you can gain access from inside the motorhome to the back of the garage. And you've got your awning winding handle, your carpets, travelling seat back, rest, your mains hooker blade, your cab, Ford cab mats and your silver screens that go on the outside of the van. And then obviously a light, once the control panel's turned on inside the vehicle, this light will work. And the garage does have 12 volt, 230 volt, and it is heated by the diesel heater, the Webasto heater. Come to the back of the vehicle, you've got your high level brake light, and underneath that you do have your reversing camera. And then the back panel's been strengthened here to take a bike rack, so you get a Fiamma bike rack, goes on these rails, and this is where the back panel has got the most strength in it at the bottom. And then on the bottom, if you ever did want parking sensors, they don't come standard with parking sensors, it's something we can fit, but they do give the factory look on the back with the little holes there for them. Smaller door this side to the garage, so if you want to load bikes, load it on the driver's side, but you can gain access this side, and you do have some shelving. So you must remove this cover when heating your water on gas. If you're heating it on electric, you can leave it on. When you're travelling, clip it back on, either stored in the garage or in the passenger door pocket. And then remove hand on the top, thumb in the middle, and just peel it off. Obviously when you're travelling, put it back on because you don't want in here to get dirty. But it'll come on with a red light if you've left the cover on, and all you need to do is turn the switch off, take the cover off, blow into there to eliminate all the build-up of gas, so that when you go take your cover off, go and switch it back on, it just lights. So for this, we'll just leave it off for now. And then you've got your toilet cassette, so hinge to open, and then as long as the blade's closed, you'll be able to slide the cassette free of the vehicle. You've got some wheels, so you can wheel it to your waste disposal point, which is beside your toilet block on site. And then what you want to do is you want to remove the grey cap so it looks like this. Press the button at the back, the orange button. It allows a bit of air in, stops it glugging, gives it a consistent flow, and you can tip it out. Once you've tipped it out, there's normally a tap beside it, so a fresh water tap. So put some water in, give it a rinse, and it'll just get any build up of anything out. And then before you put the cap on, if you're using the liquid form, the green or the blue, it's 125 millilitres the cap takes. You can put a full cap of liquid into here, or if you're using the chemical, pint of water followed by a tablet, which you can either put in now, like so, or you can push it in with a pint of water in, push it in the vehicle, and then you might have them stored in your washroom and you can drop it straight through the toilet by using the slide. Here you have your mains connection point, so to hook the vehicle up with mains, get your hooker blade, lift the collar, expose the end and slide on. Always hook the vehicle up first, then the power source, and do it in reverse order when unhooking, but there is a small blue clip to release the pins in the hooker blade before releasing the hooker blade. This is what's known as your Technibox Locker. So in here you have your freshwater filler. So carry a hose pipe with some hose pipe connections, as it's mainly just a brass tap on most sites. So hose into there until it either overflows or until you're happy you've got enough water on board. You can see what's in the tank, and you can also see on the control panel the level indicator of the fresh water. Say you've got a full tank and you're now ready to move off and you're going to another site. There's no reason why you should be carrying a full tank around with you, because it uses more diesel, it adds more weight, and obviously you may be travelling overweight. So this little grey lever is what's called a travel drain. So if you lift that up, put your pump on and open your tap, it'll drain off until it leaves 20 litres. So that gives you enough to stop, have a cup of tea, use the toilet a few times if you're doing a longer drive. To drain it off completely, you need to get underneath the van, and there's a 15mm compression fitting just there on the end of a hose. Pull that off if you've taken on contaminated water or you're draining it off in the winter. Like I say, you don't want to leave any water on board, because there is a chance it can freeze in the winter when we get the hard frost and the colder weather. Charger, 12-volt fuses, carry some spares just in case, and you've got all your RCDs and MCBs. So if you trip the vehicle, try here before you try your main site. And then opening the passenger door, you can open your fuel flap, and it's a easy fill system. So you just push the diesel nozzle in there and fill with diesel fuel. And because it's a new styled engine, a Euro 6.2, you do have AdBlue. So AdBlue is a 5,000 mile thing, so it holds 15 to 20 litres, and every 5,000 mile required to be filled back up with 15 or 20 litres. I think it's 20 litres of transit. And buying on the pumps at 4,000 mile, it'll give you a countdown of 1,000 mile. As soon as the light comes on, top it up. Otherwise the vehicle can be restricted to limp mode, and if it goes completely to zero, it just won't start. And all the AdBlue does is it sprays your catalytic converter out at a certain temperature to eliminate the buildup of soot and carbon. To open the bonnet, you need to use your key. So this is where your Ford key comes in, above the Chausson badge there. So you turn to your left to pop the bonnet, and then to release it off its second stage catch to the right. Screen wash, engine oil, dipstick for checking the oil, brake fluid, coolant, and then because the engine battery's underneath the cabs, the driver's seat and the cab, and your leisure battery's underneath your passenger seat, to jump start, you'd put your positive on here and you'd earth off the engine hoist for giving or receiving a jump start. To operate your switch panel, in the top left hand corner you've got your master switch. So this will turn on 12 volt if you're not hooked up solely off your leisure battery, or 240 volt if you are. And you'll get a little green light here that indicates that you were receiving 240 volts, means current. Got your master switch for your lights, then they all are individually switched around the vehicle. Next one, you've got one of a pump, which is the pump for the water. So to bring water to the taps, toilet, shower, you've got to have the pump on. Obviously make sure you've got enough water on board first and that the boiler is closed, and you can turn the pump on and off. You've got your awning light, which is the light on the outside of the vehicle. And then these symbols here correspond with the buttons on the bottom. So you've got one of a trailer, and this is your leisure battery reading. Take the hook about to get a true reading. Got the one of the truck, which is your engine battery reading, and then you do have your fresh water reading there. So as you can see, you've got a full tank of fresh water. When that goes to red, it's time to refill the fresh water, and when this one goes to red, it's time to empty the wastewater. Should this panel be too bright or too dull for you, you can press and hold and it'll brighten and dim the panel by going up in stages. And then to heat the vehicle, heating's through a Webasto diesel heater. So what you'll have to make sure that you've got a quarter of a tank of diesel or more in the main tank, and then turn it on to full for 5 minutes, just so it starts the combustion with the diesel, and then you can adjust it to the temperature that you want it to be at. But always start it at full, as it'll start the combustion a lot quicker. Don't worry if the lights start flickering, it's just because the diesel heater takes a lot of charge from the leisure battery on the 12 volt to get it going, and then once it's going, all your lights and everything should restore to normal because it's started the combustion series. So to operate your fridge, which is a Trigano AR95 unit, so here you have your power selector. So in the middle you've got gas, so starting off with the gas, put it to here, press your spark ignition, which is this one here, and your safety valve together, so push them both in. It'll go from the red into the green, and once it's in the green like it is now, it is lit on gas, and then you can adjust your temperature. And you'd use gas if you were wild camping, because you would have no other source available. If you were wanting to use electric, then you've got off, one down is mains power, 2 30 volt if you're on a site or you are pre-chilling the fridge at home. And then when you're driving and you've been to a site or you've pre-chilled at home and you're ready to go to your next site, you can go all the way down to battery. So you've got battery, then off, then gas, then off, and then mains power. So you can just switch between, but battery is only when the engine's running. So it's a feed from the alternator which sends a feed to here, and it needs to be pre-chilled beforehand, and it acts as a cool box. So it'll only keep it as cool as it was before setting off. It'll get no colder when you're driving. And then, like I've said, going back to gas, up to gas, it's back into the red now. So if you press both together, keep and hold it until it goes into the green, and then knock off the igniter and the safety valve, and as you can see there, it's back into the green and it's lit back on gas. Catch at the top of the fridge. You've got twin lights on both sides, and then when not using the fridge, we always recommend you empty it, you clean it out, and you leave the fridge ajar so that mold and bacteria doesn't start to form in the fridge and start stinking the van out. And you've got a small freezer box. Close the door there, and then you do at the bottom, you've got a travel lock, so you can lock it open or closed. But when trying to keep it open, if you just put it into the lock position and then just rest it up against the door, it'll stay open and it'll allow air circulation in and out of the fridge. In the kitchen you've got a 2-burner gas ring. There's one lit, there's another. So 2 gas burners, allow them to cool before you put the lid down. And then above you've got a grill. Which is lit. And a light at the back. And there you've got your grill. Cupboard with a 12 volt point. If yours is fitted with the media pack, it will have a solar panel, so you'll have your solar panel regulator up here, your MTTP solar charge controller. Underneath the sink unit you do have a 230 volt socket and 2 twin USBs, cutlery tray, storage in the large cupboard, but you do have your gas isolation valves here. Any problems with gas, turn the bottle off to be safe. These are mainly for when the vehicle is annually habitation serviced. At the back of the vehicle, if you lift the bed up a little half the bed, you've got your wardrobe this side, so you can load from the top, and you can open the door for when the bed's down. You've got your hatch to your garage, so if it's raining outside and there's something in the garage that you want, you can get it out from here, or you can put your dogs in there. Storage on the top. Large storage cupboards, but I'll get your boiler drains in the bottom of here for draining the boiler off, which I'll get onto in a moment. But to heat your water, you've got 2 switches. So top one, gas, where the cover needs to come off. Bottom one, electric. You'll notice it says 230 volt and Truma boiler EL, electric, Truma boiler gas. So in the middle's off. You've got 50 degrees at the top of heating your water, or 70 degrees at the bottom, so you can choose which one you want. People normally choose 50 for when they shower and 70 for when they do the dishes. It is only a 10 litre boiler. And then underneath you've got the electric, so you'd only use the gas if you're wild camping. If you paid your site fees, don't waste your gas, use their electric, because that's what you've paid for. So you've got 1 kilowatt at the top, depending on what amperage they give you through the hookah blade, or 2 kilowatts at the bottom. And then if you're in real desperate need of water, by all means you can have the gas and electric on together, which would heat the water in between 5 and 10 minutes. Going into here, so in at the bottom, like I've explained, where your drain off is, this is your drain down valve, your little yellow toggle, and you can see it's lying down, which means the boiler is closed. It can hold 10 litres of water. Lift it up and stand it up on end, and it will drain the 10 litres of water directly out underneath the chassis. Leave it stood up during the time that you've got the vehicle in storage and not being used, especially in the winter. You don't really need to do this in the summer. It's more for when we're experiencing colder weather. Leave all the taps throughout the vehicle in the open position. Take the bung off the fresh water pipe underneath the van, underneath your Technibox Locker, and open the waste to eliminate any water that's in the vehicle. And then also, if you remove your shower head from your hose and lie your hose in the shower tray, it'll stop any water from gathering in there and potentially freezing. In the washroom area, you've got your concertina door, so when travelling always have it strapped in, and then you can bring it across and use the door. You can separate the shower off from the toilet by pulling the shower cubicle around, and remember just to tie it in. Once it's in position, it'll stop it moving. But then when traveling, you can either have it in this position, or you can slide it back and it'll clip in there, and that's not going to move. Just remember to push this in to give you the shower cubicle and cover the toilet. And then to operate your toilet, make sure the pump's on. To flush the toilet, you're going to need to press this blue button. So we always recommend that you flush the toilet first, so pressing the blue button, you flush first, and what that helps keep the seal between the blade and the toilet lubricated. And then using the blade on the bottom, which is this grey lever, you need to push it away from here, so to the right. You can then use the toilet and then flush after use, and then bring this lever back to the left towards you. And what that'll do is, if you do it in that routine, then when your cassette is full, which will indicate on here on the top, by the little diagram in the top left hand corner that it's full. When you go to take it out from the outside of the vehicle, if it's shut it'll come out, if it's open it'll not come out because the cassette's still engaged, and you'll have to come back into the vehicle and shut the blade. If you're going to use any pink liquid, what you need to do is dilute it into a spray bottle, because it doesn't have a header tank. It's a freshwater flush system on this motorhome. You can spray the bowl and flush and it'll do the same job. It'll clean the bowl and give you a nice smell in the washroom. Toiletry cabinet. That's your hot water working there. It's lovely and warm. And then you do have a hanging rail which clips down for wet coats, wet towels. If you've been caught in the rain, hang it in here, shut the door, it'll get nice and warm, and then all you need to do is turn here and your skylight will open if you want a bit of ventilation in the washroom area. And then above the cab, on the new models of the C514, you get the luton, so you get the over cab. So you've got a double bed up there with ladders that clip on here, and then a curtain which slides across for privacy. You can push it up so you can get through the cab without banging your head. And then you do have two lights on the top there so you can turn them on and off, and a skylight with blackout blind and fly screen on there that just opens up. So if you want some ventilation in the summer over there, you just need to turn that dial there and that will open, and there's a little lock on the skylight, so you just slide that across a little lever, you'll see it, to open and close the skylight. And then, as this has got the fifth travelling seat, which is behind the drivers and the face backwards, get your backrest out the garage, remove the back rest cushion, and then this just slides in here, and then there's a lap belt, and you can carry a fifth person facing backwards legally.